Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you the day after Arsenal's fabulous, battling, spirited 0-0 draw at Anfield in the first leg of the Carabao Cup last night. What performance that was, loved it, absolutely loved it. I mean, you got a picture of it there behind me on the TV. Granit Xhaka getting sent off again. About 25 minutes was it? Leaving Arsenal with an absolute mountain to climb. You thought at that point, I mean, it was just a matter of how many Liverpool were going to get. But what a performance from Arsenal, from every single one of them, given the circumstances, given the players who are missing, given the fact they lost Cedric early on, they lost Saka at the end. Just a really top performance. First team to keep a clean sheet at Anfield this season in all competitions. They did it with 10 men. They did it with half the squad missing for one reason or another. And they have, most importantly, kept themselves in the tie. They have a really good opportunity to get themselves into the final. It's going to be difficult next week, no doubt about it. Liverpool are going to come to Emirates and they'll be fancying their chances there. But Arsenal have kept themselves in the tie, and that was a really, really big thing for them to do last night, because it would have been awful. You lose that game 3 or 4-0, which we've seen them do at Anfield time and time again in recent years. It would have just been a really miserable second leg, wouldn't it? You just look back on it and think, go in there. I mean, it kind of would have felt like the Bayern Munich game in the Champions League all those years ago. You haven't been 5-1 down from the first leg, that sort of thing. But now they are banging this cup tie. You would hope they're going to be in a better position next week, even with Xhaka being suspended. They're going to be a better position team news-wise. You'd hope, maybe Martin Odegaard will be back, Emil Smith-Rowe will be back. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in this video. But just in terms of the performance, so many of them deserve credit last night. I mean, Xhaka was stupid. It was just a rash, clumsy check. It was just Granit Xhaka challenge. He didn't need to do it. He knew the player was behind him. You saw in the replay of it, he's 2 or 3 times he looked and he knew Jota was there. It was just that incident where you've got to be a little bit smart. You know the ball's going over your shoulder. You know the man's there. You just don't wildly hook your leg out high in the air and hope that you're going to get your toe on it. You just don't do it as an experienced player, and it's just what Granit Xhaka does, and it's unfortunate. And I defended Granit Xhaka after the Manchester City game on New Year's Day and the penalty decision. I didn't think that was a penalty. I thought Bernardo Silva bought it, and Xhaka, I just thought he didn't really deserve a lot of the criticism that came his way for that incident. But I can't defend him for last night. It was just another one of those moments. You go to Anfield, you're missing so many players. You know you've got a big game coming up this weekend. You just got to be a little bit smarter, especially if you're an experienced international captain. But unfortunately, we know Xhaka does these things. He just has these momentary lapses of concentration, these rushes of blood, and it costs the team. And you think this season he's been sent off twice, and those games were at the Etihad and at Anfield. You couldn't pick 2 worse games to be sent off at and leave your team down with 10 men in the first half on both occasions. And it was just another example to me as why Arsenal need to move on from Granit. I still think he's a very important player in this team. I've said it many a times that Arsenal are a better team when Granit Xhaka plays, but that's no reason why they shouldn't move on from him. They had the chance in the summer, they decided not to take it. Roma didn't meet their valuation, but then instead of trying to move him on elsewhere or do something, they ended up keeping him and giving him a new contract, which just baffled me at the time. It still baffles me now, and I just think last night was another example why Arsenal really need to focus on getting a long-term partner for Thomas Partey, who is not Granit Xhaka. I can't see them doing that this window. We know they're in talks about a loan deal for Arthur. I'll talk about that later on. But I just thought sort of long term in the summer, when it comes to summer signings, a top quality midfielder who can play alongside Thomas Partey, who is not going to get himself sent off a couple of times a season, who is not going to give away penalties, who is not going to just have momentary rushes of blood that cost the team, is so important. And I think last night was another example to why Arsenal need to move on from Xhaka. But I don't want to be too negative about it and that one incident, because on the whole it was just a fantastic performance from Arsenal, for all of them out on the pitch. Couple of nervy moments towards the end for Aaron Ramsdale, who kind of lost his head a little bit. I think you just wanted him to stay on the line, but he wanted to come and take charge of the situation, and almost cost Arsenal. It led to that Minamino open goal miss right at the end, which would have been cruel blow had that gone in. But they survived it, and just a brilliant 0-0 draw. I mean, there was so many good performances there last night. Ben White, this Ben White's best performance in an Arsenal shirt. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Deservedly getting man of the match. And just continues the brilliant start he's made to life at Arsenal. A lot of people question the price tag, but you cannot question how good he's been since he's been here. He's just getting better and better as well. He's still so young. He just looks like he is going to be a top quality defender, and last night he really grew into a man out there. He was excellent. I think it was most tackles, most interceptions, most blocks. Just a top quality performance from Ben White, and there are others as well. I thought Bukayo Saka was brilliant on the counter-attack at times, and he was taking charge of the situation. He was playing well beyond his years in terms of maturity, given the kind of situation that Arsenal were in with 10 men. They knew they were going to have to be behind the ball. It was going to have to be really, really defensive. Saka was playing in a position he'd never really played before in this sort of weird formation that Arsenal ended up playing once Granit Xhaka had been sent off. And I thought he was excellent. And there were so many other... Gabriel as well, superb. I thought Callum Chambers, when he came on to replace Cedric early on, he was injured. Do you think how the lack of minutes for Chambers this season, the lack of game time, he could have been really, really rusty, understandably so, but I thought he put in a really top performance as well. Kieran Tierney, loads of them, they were from all of them. I mean, Lacazette right at the top as well. I mean, unbelievable effort. We know that Lacazette gets knackered after about 60 minutes normally, and he looked absolutely exhausted in that second half yesterday, but he didn't stop. He kept going, he kept working from the front, he kept showing leadership. He was setting an example for everyone else, and he deserves an awful lot of credit for that. Gabby Martinelli didn't stop running. It was just a top quality performance. Mikel Arteta said afterwards he was proud of the players, and they showed spirit, brotherhood, and they did absolutely all that. And those away fans that were there last night, it was brilliant to hear them. You could really hear how proud they were of that team, and just a top quality performance. And I really, as you can probably tell, I really enjoyed it. In terms of the Xhaka red, though, I mean, it's not going to be Arsenal. I haven't had it confirmed yet, but I'd be stunned if they even attempted to appeal it. I think it's just a nailed-on red card. You're not going to get that overturned. And it really, there is a midfield crisis at Arsenal now, no doubt about it. And you look at it for the weekend, definitely no Xhaka, definitely no Partey, definitely no Elneny, definitely no Maitland-Niles. Obviously, he's been let go on loan. It is pretty certain, definitely no Martin Odegaard because he's got COVID. He can't see there's any way he'll be back in time for Sunday's game. Smith Rowe injured. We're not sure if he'll be able to play. Saka limped off injured yesterday. We're not sure if he'll be able to play. And it's just, they've just really, really stretched at the moment. And it is no doubt about it, it's a bit of a midfield crisis that Arsenal are suffering. And we'll have to wait and see in terms of what goes on now. There is a chance. You have to think there is a chance that Sunday's game might not go ahead. Mikel was asked about it yesterday after the game. He said he didn't know. He said there's a possibility with any team in any time at the moment, because of the way things are going, that a game can be called off. It could be for Arsenal, it could be for the opposition. You just don't know because things change so quickly. I mean, the rules are there needs to be about 14, I think it's 14 senior players have to be fit. 14 senior players, including the goalkeeper, have to be fit for the game to go ahead. There's a little bit of sort of grey area in terms of what a senior player constitutes now. With this, is it a under 21s player who has played in the senior team before, made an appearance? So Patino, for example, which I think makes up a number because he's made his senior debut now, even though it's not in the Premier League. But at the moment, you sort of look at the numbers Arsenal have got, and it's either 12 or 13. So you'd have to think they've put in very real consideration into making a request to the Premier League. Now, we don't think it's got to that stage yet. There's training today and there's more COVID testing today. But the game against Spurs, it has to be in doubt. I've just seen the Burnley game for this weekend has just been called off because of outbreak at Burnley has sort of pushed them beyond the number. And for Arsenal, it's got to be right up there as well. And they're missing so many players, like those midfielders that I mentioned. It was Xhaka, Partey, Elneny, Maitland-Niles definitely out. Odegaard probably out. Saka and Smith Rowe doubtful. Then you've got Tomiyasu, looks like he's probably going to be out. Cedric, you think he's definitely going to be out after the injury he got last night. Saka, like I said, limped off towards the end. There's no Thomas Partey, no Mohamed Elneny because they're at international duty. No Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang because he's on international duty. They're really, really stretched. And it's going to be interesting how Arsenal play it. Mikel Arteta, whenever he talks about it, he's always like, we want to play, we want to play, we want to play. But when he looks at this, you've got to think, I don't want to say can you use the system. I mean, let's face it, Liverpool used the system last week. We all know it. They used the system last week. And for Arsenal, when you're looking at how light they are going to be going into this Tottenham game, there's got to be a realistic chance that they at least put in a request to the Premier League to have the game called off. Whether that gets granted by the Premier League, we'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be very interesting over the next 24 hours or so to see exactly what goes on at Arsenal once all the players report back for training today. The injuries become more clear, and the latest sort of batch of COVID cases become more as clear as well. So keep an eye out for that one. In terms of Arthur, transfer news wise, talks taking place today between Arsenal and Juventus to really sort of step things up with this. Arsenal very keen to get it done quickly. Arthur very keen to get it done quickly. It's going to be a straight loan until the end of the season, as far as I'm aware. Arsenal playing a loan fee, paying his wages. Arthur, from people close to Arthur that I've spoken to, wants this move done. He sees the Premier League as the best league in the world. He wants to come over here and play at Arsenal. Obviously, there's Brazilian connections here already. He knows Edu as well. And you got Gabriel, you got Martinelli. So there's Brazilian connections here as well. And he wants this move done. It's just a case of Juventus giving it the green light. That hasn't happened yet. Arsenal really pushing today in talks to sort of try and have a breakthrough and get it wrapped up as quickly as possible. As far as I'm aware, and a colleague of mine over at Goal Brazil is reporting that in a sort of attempt to really push things forward as well, Arthur is going to have a meeting with Max Allegri today, the Juventus coach, to try and get him to push it along as well. And all sides really wanting to get this done. It's just a case of Juventus giving it the green light. So maybe, should he arrive, then that will bolster Arsenal's midfield options, no doubt about it. I mean, it's not going to make a difference in terms of Sunday's game. I think he has to be signed by midday today for that to happen. It's pretty clear. What we now, at the time I'm recording this, it's 11:04, so it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So it won't make a difference in terms of Sunday's game, but certainly maybe for the next leg against Liverpool, because Xhaka's going to miss that as well, then it could make a difference, and it's another extra body in midfield, which Arsenal desperately need at the moment. So that's the latest when it comes to Arthur and transfers. I haven't really got any other news for you when it comes to transfers at the moment. With all the Vlahovic talk continues, the noise continues, both over here and in Italy, but nothing has moved forward in that in terms of any potential deal as far as I'm aware. So I have to wait and see if anything does progress with that and it sort of moves beyond just noise and speculation. Finally, before I go, player ratings from last night. I didn't get to do it after the game. Player ratings, I'm going to give Aaron Ramsdale gets a... What do I give him? I'm going to give Ramsdale a 6 because he didn't have one save to make, which is great and shows how good Arsenal were defensively. But he just looked a little bit nervous, I thought, yesterday. Even the build-up to Xhaka's red card, mate, he started to come, then he didn't. We saw towards the end when those crosses were coming in, he tried to claim them, didn't twice it nearly led to a goal. He just looked a little bit nervy. You don't normally see that of Aaron Ramsdale, certainly since he's arrived here in the summer, but I thought he did last night. So I'm going to give Ramsdale a 6. Cedric obviously started, but he went off early on, so I'm not going to give him a mark. But I thought Callum Chambers came on and did really, really well considering his lack of football and how rusty he probably was. I'm going to give Callum an 8. I thought the two centre-backs absolutely magnificent for me. Gabriel gets an 8. Ben White, man of the match for me, he gets a 9. Left back Kieran Tierney gets an 8. Thought he was really good as well. Just such a solid performance from that back four. I thought Arsenal might go over back 3 given the players who were missing, but they went with the back 4. And once Chambers came on, I thought all 4 of them did really, really well. But Ben White, he gets a 9. Rest get an 8. Ben White, my man of the match. In midfield, I thought Sambi did well. Couple of nervy, loose passes early on, I thought, from him. And after what happened to him at Anfield in the league game, I began to get a little bit worried about that. But I thought he played well. He coped with things pretty well. And a really solid performance from Sambi. He gets a 7. Granit Xhaka, I mean, what can I give Xhaka? I'm going to have to give him a 3. He only played 20-odd minutes, got himself sent off. Lucky to get a 3, really. In fact, I don't know why I'm giving him a 3. He's probably a 2, if that, just for his 20 minutes. Just really poor performance. Really, well, not poor performance, but just a poor error of judgment, as always, when it comes to Granit Xhaka. It's just really disappointing. Let the team down at a time when they really, really needed their senior players to step up. So I'm going to give him a 2. Then the forwards, I thought they just worked their socks off for me. Certainly the sort of 3 behind Nketiah anyway. So Saka, I thought he was great. He pushed Ben White for man of the match. I'm going to give Saka a 9 as well. But Ben White just edges him in man of the match. Lacazette, unbelievable work rate from him. I bet he's absolutely shattered this morning. He's going to get an 8 for me. Martinelli as well, I thought didn't stop working and didn't have much to do going forward. Didn't really get any chances or things like that. But I thought his work ethic was unreal. I mean, he was shattered at the end of the game. You saw the players having to pick him up off the pitch at full time. He gets an 8. Eddie Nketiah didn't really do too much at all, Eddie, before. And he got hooked, obviously, once Granit got the substitutions, so got the sending off. So it's tough to give him a grade. I mean, I give him a 4 or 5 just on those sort of 25 minutes he was on the pitch. So those are my player ratings. Ben White, magnificent, gets my man of the match. Right, that's about it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, lots of things sort of bubbling away at the moment under the surface when it comes to Arsenal. It could be a busy 24 hours news-wise in terms of possible Arthur transfer, possible request to have Sunday's North London derby postponed. Please do keep an eye on all my social media feeds and on goal.com for all the very latest. As soon as I get anything, I will bring it to you. Until then, have a very good day. Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy thinking back to that lovely heroic performance from Arsenal last night. And I'll speak to you soon.